Shamps and giggles. History, news, views, and reviews from a black perspective. Shamps and giggles back for 2024. Oh my lord.
Well,
Love that. Marcia Johnson in the building. It's just too amazing to have her on the platform. We're talking rent to rent, something that she has done and become quite successful in doing. And just to say that Marcia, I mean, she's not new to the game. She's been doing this for the past 7 years. Got some training somewhat via Samuel Leeds. And in fact, she is considered a winner, was on his platform not too long ago. He has a particular show, it's called Winners on Wednesday. It's quite amazing that she started 7 years ago with her own rent-to-rent property management company. And to give back, recently, she has launched her own rent-to-rent online training course. So amazing. It's called How to Break Out of the Matrix in 90 Days Using Property You Don't Own for Absolute Beginners.
beginners, yeah. It does what it says on the tin.
Tell us more.
Right. What do you want to know more about? Well, actually, my background is actually a state agency.
Okay.
So I came in through the ranks, lettings negotiator, then worked my way up to manager, and things like that. So I did get really good grounding in a state agency, and that certificate there behind my left shoulder, that is the NFOP certificate, National Federation of Property Professionals. So there's quite a good background there, which I was able to apply to the rent to rent strategy, which is essentially property management.
Right.
Yes, managing property, managing people. But the difference about it is that you don't need to buy a property to do it. And that's why, for me, it was the go-to strategy when I decided, after lots of research, that I wanted to go into business for myself. I wanted to stay in property. And because it's such a good cash flowing business, that's why for me it was a no-brainer. All you've got to do is acquire the property. It's got to be stacked a certain way, the deals, the rooms, what location, what we call your golden location, or your gold mine area, they call it. So once you've figured out your gold mine area, but there is a bit of a science to it, but it's not brain surgery once you've got the rules in your, under your belt, and you know what you're doing. And that's why the course is so good, because I've broken it down into real bite-sized pieces, easy to handle, manage in between, I don't know, working, raising babies, whatever the case might be.
Well, you, by the way, no, your little ones, they weren't so little when you started in the rent to
No,
rent, is it?
not when I first started, no. But funny enough, my youngest was, just a toddler when I had my first property in Putney. And I just worked it out for myself.
Yeah.
That was like about sort of 20 years ago or
No
something. No,
training, no understanding.
and I
Of
just
course.
worked it out that, well, if I rent out these rooms individually,
Mm,
I'm going to make so much more. I'm going to like double what I could make if I was just renting it as a single unit.
right.
And for me, that was the whole point of it. So that became my little thing that I did. And it's like I was just meant to rent rooms, because when I started my career in Kensington, That's where the director put me in the room rental department.
Right. You know what is interesting is back then when you had your first play, I know it was in Putney, right?
Yeah.
It was easier to get in the game then, wasn't it?
Well, yes. I mean, I owned that property, but yeah, it
Mm.
would have been. It would have been. I mean, with me doing it nearly 8 years now, I can sense the difference, but whereas I can sense the difference.
Well, the
What you
Putney
do,
property 20 years ago was like 100,000. The Putney property now is like 1 million, isn't it?
it's a lot more, yeah. It's a lot more. But I just think if you're determined, if you know some people have got family that have got property and they're not using this strategy.
Do you know what? I just had a family discussion because obviously you're coming on the show, so may I talk the things with the family. You know, in the space of a little conversation, we were counting how many rooms one person's house, a next person's house, a next person's house, how many rooms are just empty? And that could be X amount of
Empty.
money.
Don't let me hear
Not
that.
true.
Don't let me hear that it's empty. Oh my,
Yeah,
they're empty.
empty, empty.
What?
Well, you know, empty is like people start dumping rubbish in there, isn't it? I mean, the youths abroad for crying out loud, going to be being abroad for years.
Yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? The room's empty. That could be making a little money.
Yeah, it's money sitting there, isn't it? You can just, even if you've just got one spare room, you can definitely make good use of that.
Mm,
You can put it on Airbnb, you know what I mean,
yeah,
and charge £100 a night if you make it look stush enough, or
right.
between 80 and 100. If you get tired of having the people around, just lock it off. And that's it. You don't need to do it for a while.
So you could do it nightly. You could do it for a period of time, like you could do it on could you do it like on a 3 month basis, or you can do it short term, innit? Like 3 months or something.
You could do it for a week or 2 or 3 if you want to put it on the Airbnb.
Right. And
You know,
then I hear say there's a thing called hosting of students or something, where the students that have come from abroad, the college will pay you to have the youth then in your yard for a
yeah,
period of time. So
yeah,
that
yeah.
a spare room can make money.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So if you've got a family or a community, or you belong to a church or what have you, you would have access to those properties. So sky's the limit. All you need to know is just have the knowledge of there's legislation, which is very important. You've got to set up the business if you're going to be taking over these properties, as a whole. If you want to make a career out of it, if you want to just do a little side hustle and it's your family, they're not going to report you to the author. Sorry, am I saying the wrong things here?
No, you're talking to things. This show is called Talk the Things.
You could really make a lot of money from it, and then once you've done the course, how to break out of the matrix, it really is a way out of the matrix. If you want to be your own boss, if you want to take your holidays when you want to take them, if you want to be able to cash flow, imagine if each property, you should be cash flowing, positive cash flow. That means net after expenses between 500 and £1,000 plus per month per property. So
500 and £1,000 plus per month
net.
per property. Let me just share this one little clip with you here. Look, this is you with Samuel Lee.
Yeah.
His title here is Working Man Makes 7,000 per month from London Rent to Rent. This is on Winners on a Wednesday. Let's just hear this clip. I can't remember what you said, but let's just have a listen.
Well, what's your strongest reason for doing this?
I had so many years of going without, and I was a teenage mum. I got pregnant when I was 16, nearly 17, And one of my raison d'etres was just, I've got to show everybody that's not the end of me. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. I made a mistake, but I'm a winner. And it's just never gone to house.
Well, what's your strongest reason for doing this?
That was
That was it.
biggest reason for doing this.
What is my reason? That was my reason.
That's what he asked you there, isn't it?
Yeah. Prove everybody wrong. And it's like, I can't get rid of that gene. It's so, I'm hardwired now, that I want to just keep on building. But when I remember that little girl, that was me back in the day, really wanting to figure things out, to be independent, to have money, to be able to buy things that I wanted to buy. And that's why I've decided to put it all in a course. Because I think that when you have a skill set and you've been doing it and you can see the success of it, I think it kind of behooves you to share that knowledge.
Yeah, you know what? You caught me there when you said, when I saw that little girl, it looks like a grown woman to me. Are you referring to yourself talking to Samuel Lees, or are you talking about a time before?
No, when you think of yourself, when I remember the little girl that I was,
right,
the one that the teenage mom, and even before that,
right,
and you're just sitting there scratching your head because sometimes your family don't know of these strategies. They don't have a way out. There are no mentors. They're so busy working to put food on the table, that all they want you to do is just get out their way, shut up, eat your dinner, go to bed, leave them. They're tired. Obviously not everybody's like that, but it's a common story. It's a common story.
Yeah. But your story is not so common, because you say you was a single mom. It's not just that you was a single mom. There was a bit of trauma involved.
There was a bit of trauma involved. Yeah, the father passed when I was 6 months pregnant. So I was a teenage mom, and my parents were not available. Shall we just say not available?
Because of our culture.
Country. My dad was not. So I was just doing a lot of this stuff on my own. And yeah, so I made that course for people out there. And then I went through this divorce, and then I was raising the kids on my own. And so it was a lot of pressure a lot of the time. And I kept thinking, oh my God, there's just got to be another way. And I used to sit at my desk like this. And I remember this girl used to swan in a Range Rover. I'm looking for something for my clients and stuff like this. And I'd be just like looking at her going, what is it you do? How do you do that? And then I got to realize she's got clients and stuff like this. And that is the beautiful thing about rent to rent. It is a starting point. It's a building block. So once you start stacking that dough, that money, right? You obviously, if you're going to borrow Uncle Harry's house, you're going to cut him, break him off. So he's going to be making more money. You're going to be making more money. You share that, but then you're going to stack it. Maybe you pay off some debts, but you've got to stack it. Stack it. And then the both of you can be JV partners. And then you can bring in somebody else. JV? And then they've got money saved up. And is there strength in numbers? But that is a great starting point to say, right, now we've built X amount in the pot. Let's go and find a property that we can buy, refurbish, and refinance.
Oh, is that a golden
strategy that I'm going to be teaching about that as well? So it's like that is just the starting block to give you the knowledge, build up. And on this course, right, you cover, there's legalities, there's contracts, there's lots of rules and regulations you need to be aware of. You've got to know how systems, So I'm sharing all of those insights as to how you can make sure that you stay, ahead of things, ahead of the game, and you don't fall foul. And every time you're stacking a new property, it's all just running like clockwork. and ticking over. So once you've learned that, I share all of that knowledge. It's on a discounted rate at the moment, the course, and I will be available for Q&A sessions. But I just think that if you want to live an autonomous life, find your skill. What you do there is fantastic. You're amazing at what you do there, and that is you're sharing your skill, and you can cross use some of those skill sets. It can be used across other areas of your career or whatever. But I want to share this so that people, kids, youngsters, individuals who have a vision to be an entrepreneur, to have more money, even if it's just one property, you could make extra £5,000 or £1,000 a month. That means, when you've got more time, more months at the end of your money every month, you got more month at the end of the money. You're like, that means your money's finished before your salary, time is due to come around again.
A lot of us are in that situation, to be fair.
That's how people get into debt, and it's very stressful. And imagine if you go to your boss and you say, can you just pay me an extra £500 a month, please? I'm not asking much. They will laugh you out of town.
Sad, isn't it? But true.
Laugh you out of town. Whereas if with one property, you could make that extra income. And if you get enough, you can leave your job.
Question. So 7 years ago, how did you get into rent to rent?
I went to, I did a lot of research about rent to rent. I went to a lot of meetings, and including Samuel Leeds.
Right.
And I had some money saved up. I managed to have some money saved up, and I just thought, well, I've got to do something. This money needs to make me more money. I can't just spend it and let it go like that. Right. So I did I went to a lot of networking events. I was just listening to everybody, because there are about 7 or 8 property strategies. So I went and studied and looked and listened. 2 ears, 1 mouth. I did not do much talking at all. I was there to learn. Right. And eventually, and when I heard the rent to rent, I thought, hang on a minute, this sounds familiar. And then you knew, so that's how I got started. So with that, and I even cover this in the course, how to network effectively. On my business card, I had a picture myself. Because when you're collecting business cards, 2-3 weeks later, you're looking at this and you're thinking, who the heck was that? Why have I got this card? So I just met somebody, he had his picture on his card, and I thought, I remember the conversation I had with that person. And so we teamed up, and he came back to me a few weeks later. He said, I found us a property. Wow. Let's go and look at it.
Right.
It took me about 3 months to find my first property.
Right. So, wow. So how much was the commitment on that first property?
About £6,000, £5,000-6,000.
And you split that between the two of you?
No, I ponied up the whole amount.
Oh, wow. So was it a case joint venture, but you was using his experience and your money?
Yeah, because he was currently working for a service accommodation company, and I'd been out of the loop for a while. I got sacked from my last 3 jobs.
Right.
And I was sort of sitting around going, oh, what am I going to do? So getting sacked is not the end of the world, people.
Oh, Lord. You know what I was going to say?
It's a blessing.
Hold on, wait. What I was going to say, you said you got sacked, and you said that quite happily.
Oh, I thanked them. The last one, they were so confused. I was like, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. Thank you. And they were like, what's wrong with this woman? I was thinking, great, you let me go, so now I can go and, go and be my own boss, because that's what I want to do. I can't take on them anymore.
Hey, I hear that. I hear that.
Kind of
that's
vibe.
A classic.
Sure,
so £6,000 on your first property, your money, his knowledge. So obviously there was some trust there. And
He's
what
not.
happened month 1, month 2, month 3?
Well, it was a bit scary because we got the property during the quiet period.
Oh,
So we set up office in that empty property, and but we did the numbers, and it made sense. I was 100% confident, but it was a bit scary when day after day after day you're waiting for inquiries to come in, and then you start reducing the prices a little bit. But let me tell you something. Yeah, month 1, I think it took us about. I think we managed to let it within a month. So it started to pay for itself straight away. And then, but the interesting thing, that property is just such a great property. It's a 5-bed, 3-bath, no living room in a ex-local, well, in a council estate in Wandsworth,
right.
right? That property has never been empty.
Wow.
Never been empty. I've just let the first room, room 1, I've just re-let it after 7, 8 years of managing that property. That is only about the 4th maximum, about the 4th tenant I've had in there. They
Well, so
stay.
in other words, the tenants come and they stay.
They stay. They stay.
Wow.
One guy that's been in there, the last tenant that was in that room had been there 3 years. The guy before him, 3 years.
Wow.
That's 6 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
£700 a month. Do the math.
Wow. I can't count that quick.
But don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, I don't want to make out like, yeah, it can be hard work. Why do you think they say it can be hard work? It is challenging. There are times like through lockdown, I continued the business. Why do I think they stay? They stay because that little room there is not too expensive. Wandsworth is a great popping little
Area.
town. You got the Southside Shopping Centre, you've got a park, you've got a massive Sainsbury's, you've got Wagamama, little food stalls. It's a decent place, gym, and then great travel connections. You're near Clapham, you've got Wandsworth Town train station, and it's just convenient. It's just really convenient. So even though there's no living room, this is for workers. They just work, they come cook their dinner, and then they just want to just chill in their room, watch TV or whatever, chat to their friends or whatever the case is. I don't know, I don't live there. But
they have internet and all the rest of it.
Yeah, they just do their thing and that's it.
And pay your money, that's all you care about.
Yes. And there are systems, you've got to be, make sure you've got systems in place to track payment and make sure people are paying.
Isn't that called the bank account?
I know it well. It's my area, so convenient. Yeah. This is Teresa. Yeah, it's a fantastic area. And that became my gold mine area. And here's the interesting thing. From that first property, that's why sometimes, folks, you just have to step out in faith. Just think it, believe it, know it, see it, talk it into existence. So I cover this in the course as well. Mindset.
Right.
Mindset is everything. Because guess what now? You might be thinking, oh, but where do I get the money for the next one? Oh, how am I going to do that? Because Well, the agent that we met through this one introduced us to another property. The land in Wandsworth again. The landlord from that property fell out with the agent, told them to sling their hook and call me directly. I don't know how he got me, or he saw me at a viewing or the viewing. And anyway, he reached out to me and gave me the second property. But guess what? He then gave me a third and a fourth.
Wow.
I've got 3 of his properties. And today, I said to him, give me another property, Tony. Come on. I know you got them.
Oh,
And he said, I've got one coming up in Putney. So you've got to keep on talking. Wherever you go, let people know, this is what I do. This is what I do. And, you know, the doors will open.
Hold on a minute. So I did the math. That property, 700 a month over 6 years. 700 a month, that's 8,400 per year. 6 years, that's 50 grand. And if you multiply that by how many properties, you're not doing too bad.
Well, yes, but I do reiterate that you do have to make sure that you've got property money for those days when there are some voids. You know, there are some voids, so you can't get too happy. You know, I was a bit too happy at one point.
Yeah.
But praise God, I was able to stay on top of it, and I thought, right, and because you really got to be focused on this business. You know, you got to be ready to do things like run up and down stairs. I'm dressing rooms, you know, and taking pictures, doing the marketing, answering inquiries. And when the inquiries come in, you've got to be quick. But once you get things to a certain point, now you can start bringing in people to help you, and then you pay. And, you know, because there was at one point I was not really doing much, but I was a little bit like, I just started to take holidays. I just started flying all over the place, all over the world, and all over the world, the Caribbean and Africa.
It's nice though. Let's just be fair, right? You start off something, you've worked it up, it's earning your chunk of change, you've got people in place to do the various things.
Yeah.
I think it's important to celebrate and take that time off, because that's why you got into it.
I did. That's what I did. To my kids, I managed to sustain that business. I loved it. Mwah! I was able to sustain myself after this divorce, where I walked with nothing but the shirt on my back. I had to live in charity shops, not live in, but when I went, and after this divorce, I walked with just the shirt on my back to my children and their school uniforms, right?
Yeah.
I did when I went straight back to get a job in a state agency. And I remember it was before I set up the business, because I was a bit shell-shocked. I was figuring out what I'm going to do. But I had to go and buy my clothes, there was a sale in Gloucester Road in the Farah charity shop, and it was £1 per item. And I was on my way back to the office, and I'm like, what? Oh, well, that's a bit of me, because I had no clothes. And I pulled in there, and I came out with 2 big bags of dresses and blouses and shoes. And the funny thing is, again, mindset, positive thinking.
We're going to come back. I'm going to stop you right there. Positive thinking. We got to go to break because I'm being told. But positive thinking, we're going to come back on that point. And just as we're going, though, when I hear people who shop in charity shop, I'm like, who does that? But we're coming back. Mindset is absolutely key. Shabs and Giggles, we do this every week. Target takes. Marcia Johnson is in the building. We're talking property, rent to rent, the whole 9 yards. We'll be back after these words.
Ta-na-na-na. Ta-na-na.